This video is brought to you by Captivating History. Man is the product of his time and space. He owes a debt to the time and place he occupies and what he thinks, what he worships, how he defines his sense of morality, the air he breathes, and the life he leads. Carl Jung, the Swiss who founded the discipline of analytical philosophy, and Joseph Campbell, the American professor who contributed to our current understanding of myth, underlined the importance of this collective unconscious in their work. This collective unconscious is formed much more explicitly than ever before in contemporary times. The state and the corporate world, brands, high-tech companies, and multi-million conglomerates create a tunnel vision rhetoric and guide us to believe a certain narrative, one that serves their needs. The entire marketing and advertisement industry is based precisely on these ideas. With this perspective, one can understand just how much our environment influences us. Imagine for a moment how your life would look if you existed outside of your current sphere. How would your religious beliefs, political ideas, and social temperament change as a result of this change in time and space? If you lived in the medieval ages, you would probably believe that women who lived alone were witches. If you lived in pre-Socratic Greece, you would probably have a disdain for logic, rationale, and philosophy. After all, Socrates was killed for blasphemy. You get the point. We are defined by the ideas surrounding us. What came before us? The philosophy of the Greeks, the liberalism of the French, the contributions of the Nile Valley civilization, often has a direct and potent effect on us. As much as we like to think of ourselves as philosophically forward-thinking and technologically prodigal, we owe a huge debt to the past. Today, we will delve into the civilization that gave us the pyramids. Today, we will see what it was like to live in ancient Egypt. The ancient Egyptians had been using papyrus for writing as far back as the early dynastic period. It was also used in the Kingdom of Kush and other Mediterranean civilizations. Archaeologists have unearthed numerous texts that help us understand how kings, priests, and ordinary people lived in Egypt long ago. The ancient Egyptian empire lasted for approximately 3,000 years. There are three major eras in the timeline of ancient Egypt: the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, and the New Kingdom. The iconic monuments that have persisted for millennia were built during the Old Kingdom, a time of cultural awakening and colossal construction. The Middle Kingdom was the period when the nation was united and re-established. The New Kingdom was the time of aggressive expansion and cultural development. The Nile Valley was home to numerous ethnic groups of diverse origins. Before 5000 BCE, various nomadic tribes inhabited the valley, hunters and gatherers. Then major changes to the climate caused the region to dry out. The drought affected the populace of large animals and, consequently, the hunting needs of the people. Tribes came together from different directions and settled in the Nile Valley. The initial communities led a Bedarian way of life. When the pastoral semi-nomads came together, their abundance of resources created an interest for personal enhancement, and a social hierarchy was established. The rich grew richer, and a unique class of specialist craftsmen emerged. These professionals developed innovative technologies and products for their patrons, who were usually rich. Economic, cultural, and political changes were inevitable. Many believe the unification of Egypt was the creation of the world's first nation-state, representing the first instance of a common, shared identity for different groups of people. As for geography and the population range, there was a division: the Nile. The river was the boundary between Upper and Lower Egypt. The social structure of ancient Egypt was highly stratified. The architectural design of the pyramid could very well be the subconscious acknowledgement of this grading. The pharaoh commanded the top tier. Whether as a regular heir or a usurper, he was the high priest of every temple and the head of the army, serving as an intermediary between the mortal and the divine. He was responsible for keeping the gods satisfied, which was a highly inconvenient proposition in times of famine, disease, or war. Outside of the pharaoh king, priests warranted a lot of prestige. They worked for the temple on the king's behalf, received many gifts, and would often become incredibly rich. Local officials, or nomarchs, oversaw their respective provinces, managing the economy, employment, and other means of influencing the lives of the masses. In times of war, local leaders had to scout and recruit strong young men. The second most powerful man after the pharaoh king was the vizier. His role was a combination of state secretary, personal assistant, and the head of justice. The shift of power was common in ancient Egypt, and viziers or priests could occasionally exceed the king in power. Elite or otherwise, houses were often crowded with people. Prestigious residences housed not only families but servants, employees, and administrators. The working class had smaller homes where the idea of privacy was inconceivable. Couples often had 5 or more children, and many generations would usually share the same 4-room dwellings. People married at a very young age, and everyone was expected to have several children. Contrary to popular belief, the ancient Egyptians did not have incestuous relationships. It happened in royal circles for political purposes, but that was pretty much it. Boys rarely chose their own career, and they were usually prepared for a profession from an early age. The oldest son followed in his father's footsteps, learning the basics of farming, sculpting, or administration from the age of 5. Other sons were trained by professionals in different careers and were well educated. The availability of professions would range from manual work and administration to priesthood and military service. Children of the upper class and uniquely talented kids were often taught in formal temples and palace schools. Artisans who constructed and decorated tombs in the Valley of the Kings were well paid and enjoyed several benefits. In contrast, agricultural workers had to work full hours. It is a common misconception that slaves built the pyramids, which is believed not to be true. The precise measurements of pyramids indicate that highly skilled and passionate individuals worked on them. There is also written proof of skillful construction workers and artists working on them. In the New Kingdom, Egypt's brightest boys had 2 choices. They could become a priest or a scribe. Most of the people were illiterate and required the services of a scribe. Like most ancient civilizations, it was a patriarchal society, so girls were seldom educated. However, women enjoyed a lot of freedom in ancient Egypt compared to other ancient civilizations. They could walk around without a male companion and had the same legal rights as men from their class. They spent most of their time at home but could produce and sell goods like bread, beer, linen, and vegetables. Some women were employed as housekeepers and midwives. They could even own, inherit, and bequeath property. It is believed that the Egyptians had more than 2,000 gods, but not all gods were worshipped by everyone in all eras. The high number of gods can be justified because Egyptians used to mix and match their gods, and several gods would morph into another to form a new one. For instance, the combination of Ra, the sun god, and Amun, the creator god, was Amun-Ra. It must be noted that the depictions of Egyptian gods that one finds in today's culture are quite misleading. The Egyptians did not believe that their gods looked like weird creatures. The idiosyncratic features were merely representative of their abilities and powers. Egyptian religious doctrine also had a class structure. The state religion promoted the king and his relationship with divinity, whereas ordinary people worshipped other gods at home. In the era of the Old Kingdom, Thebes turned into a religious center. Around the same time, Memphis emerged as an administrative capital. All the royal cemeteries of the Old Kingdom, including the pyramid fields at Giza, stood close to it. The gods rose and waned in popularity over the years, but 3 gods were usually at the top of the pantheon: Osiris, Horus, and Seth. The 3 corresponding goddesses were Isis, Nephthys, and Hathor. Osiris, the ruler of the underworld, and Isis, the divine mother, were the parents of Horus. Horus was often conflated with the pharaoh. As such, he was of little interest to the general populace. The temples dedicated to the higher gods were sometimes off-limits to ordinary men, and so their appeal was left wanting in working-class communities. The major deities had dedicated practices, prayers, and symbols. Ra and Amun were highly regarded in all circles of society. Ra was worshipped in Heliopolis, and Amun had a magnificent temple complex at Karnak. The people prayed to their gods in their houses just as they would perform rituals in temples. The rituals of a priest in a temple and the rituals of an in-house ceremony were quite similar. Like other ancient religions, sacrifice was a common theme for the Egyptians, who would offer food and drinks to their deities. The religious fervor found its expression through festivities, and those were a crucial part of social life. They took place almost every month, but the largest and most sacred festivals were relatively spread out. In the beautiful Festival of the Valley in Thebes, families had an opportunity to feast with their dead relatives. The Opet Festival at Thebes prompted a procession from Karnak Temple to Luxor Temple along the Sphinx Avenue. The Festival of Drunkenness involved 5 days of drinking in honor of Hathor. These festivals are a good indication of how religion permeated every aspect of life in ancient Egypt. People would wear amulets to protect themselves against unwanted forces and increase their strength. Since they were a status symbol, the wealthy people wore expensive amulets made from unique materials. The ancient Egyptians believed that a human being was made up of 5 basic components. These included the Ka, or the life force, and the Ba, or the personality. When dead, the union of these two formed the Ankh, or the spirit. While alive, a body needed all 5 aspects to have the Ankh. This included the name, which represented one's identity, and the shadow. Other elements were mentioned in funerary texts, like the heart, Ib, and the physical body that needed to be preserved, Ket. The body contained all the elements, and as such, its preservation was the main concern of kings and officials. Mummification kept the body from disintegrating. The funerary rites of ancient Egypt and their mythology offer a lot of insight into their understanding of the afterlife. Whether ancient Egyptians found their way in the afterlife or not, they still remain fascinating to us. Even ancient Greeks and Romans looked up to Egypt. The wonderful, mysterious monuments and inscriptions beguiled and enchanted them. These mysteries continue to boggle and mesmerize us today. As much as we try to imagine what life looked like in ancient Egypt, we must come to terms with the fact that it was a different time and a different place, shrouded in mystery and intrigue, forever hidden, forever fragmented. As L.P. Hartley put it, the past is a foreign country. They do things differently there. To learn more about what it was like to live in ancient Egypt, check out our book, Ancient Egypt, A Captivating Guide to Egyptian History, Ancient Pyramids, Temples, Egyptian Mythology, and Pharaohs such as Tutankhamun and Cleopatra. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Also, grab your free Mythology Bundle ebook while they're still available. All links are in the description. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.